Donald Trump misses Charlie Kirk's Kennedy Center vigil for pre-planned weekend at Bedminster Golf Club. So the guy didn't even go to the vigil for Charlie Kirk because it interrupted his golf weekend. Is that how you would treat a good friend? I think it is very within reason to make a joke that maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump doesn't seem to care all that much about his friend.
You want to see what real independent journalism funded by the people for the people looks like?
You ever heard a story like this in America?
You're looking at it.
Congratulations for always being somewhere where mainstream media is not.
Flint, Michigan.
See you in Nevada.
Thanks to people like you, we could get the truth. Corporate media, they've been lying to us for years, and you go straight to the people.
You are the man. I'm glad you're here.
For as low as 16 cents a day, you'll keep us on the ground, covering the important stories the corporate media covers up.
What's up, everybody? Ron Placone here, reporting for Status Coup. So, Jimmy Kimmel was, suspended indefinitely, I guess is the technical correct term. Although it seems, as of the recording of this, unlikely he will come back to the air. Here is the headline here. Jimmy Kimmel pulled off air following FCC threats over Charlie Kirk comments. All right, before we get in further, all right, so FCC threats over Charlie Kirk comments. Let's, before we continue here, go straight to the source. What exactly did he say? Now, I don't know about you. I'm not super fluent in Jimmy Kimmel's stuff. I don't watch a show. So let's go straight to the source and see what he said.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
That's the joke. So, I mean, from an analytical standpoint here, that's not a joke about every headline you see that says, oh, he was let go over Charlie Kirk comments. No, he was let go over comments about Donald Trump and the lack of empathy, which, by the way, is a pretty reasonable conclusion to come to. We'll get to that in a second, but let's go back to the article first. So Jimmy Kimmel pulled off air following FCC threats over Charlie Kirk comments. All right, so first of all, headline here, little flawed. It wasn't over Charlie Kirk comments. It was about Donald Trump. All right, so Jimmy Kimmel's late night show was suspended indefinitely following the host's comment on the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Walt Disney-owned ABC said on Wednesday that it will indefinitely stop airing Jimmy Kimmel Live. All right, so let's scroll down here. What really happened? So Brendan Carr, the chairman of the SEC, had seemingly threatened ABC, Disney, and Kimmel over his monologue. This is a very, very serious issue right now for Disney. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, Carr said. Disney needs to see some change here, but the individual licensed stations that are taking their content, it's time for them to step up and say this. You know, garbage to the extent that that's what comes down the pipe in the future isn't something that we think serves the needs of our local community. There's calls for Kimmel to be fired, he added. So he planted this seed. The FCC planted this seed. I think you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. Following Carr's comments, Nexstar Media Group, Inc. said it would stop airing the show. Mr. Kimmel's, here's their explanation. Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk, they weren't comments about the death of Mr. Kirk. They were comments about Donald Trump reacting to it, which, by the way, was a very reasonable observation, are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse. So let's call this for what it actually is. This has nothing to do with someone being insensitive over the shooting of someone, which I get it. When you're in the public spotlight in the way a Jimmy Kimmel is, when you're part of the mainstream, you need to have a certain amount of you need to kind of tread lightly when it's issues of life and death. I get that. But that's not what happened here. This joke, I mean, this joke was about Donald Trump. It was so soft that Nerf could sell it, and they canned him for it. This is about making the king mad. That's what's really going on here. We just watched the video. Now, some people are saying, oh, well, the problem was Jimmy Kimmel lied, and he said that they were MAGA. He didn't actually say that either. If you listen to what he said, he just said that MAGA is doing finger pointing, and they're trying to paint this person to be everything except for one of them, which I get. You could say like, oh, he inferred something, but he didn't straight up say, oh, this person's MAGA. And by the way, even if he did, first of all, we don't even really know, as of the recording of this, we don't even really know exactly what was going on with this person yet. I mean, there's tons of speculation out there. There's some text threads that haven't been verified. If you look at the leaked documents from Ken Klippenstein, it looked like this guy was mostly just a straight up nihilist, which if that ends up being the case, you can't really put him in any camp. But if you can, you would say nihilism is right wing in nature, which it is. Nihilism is inherently right wing. But if this guy was just a straight up nihilist, you can't really call him MAGA. You can't really call him on the left either. He's just a straight up nihilist. And as of the recording this, we don't even know that. So nothing Jimmy Kimmel said here was totally out of bounds. And even if he did, let's just say hypothetically, even if he did say, oh yeah, this guy's MAGA, or this guy's probably MAGA, how many people uncritically claimed that this shooter was transgender with no evidence? It was just total speculation. They just said the person was transgender, which that's one thing we definitively know for sure. They are not transgender. But a ton of people said completely uncritically, they're transgender. Should they lose their jobs too? Why not? If Jimmy Kimmel deserves to lose his job for, according to some, implying that this person was MAGA, even though if you literally just take what he said at surface, he didn't even do that. But if you're going to say, oh, well, he implied someone was MAGA and we don't have proof that they are MAGA, so he should get fired over that. Okay, so all the people who claimed this shooter was trans with no evidence whatsoever, should they get fired too? Why not? If you think Jimmy Kimmel should get fired for what he allegedly did, I mean, you know, again, you listen to it. He doesn't straight up say that. I mean, I get that it's a bit surface level. And I think that's because he was trying to be as neutral as possible, which that's really an interesting anecdote to all of this too. This guy was being as neutral and diplomatic as one could be, and he still gets canned for it, for a joke that, again, wasn't about Charlie Kirk. It was about Donald Trump and Donald Trump's lack of empathy and just lack of seeming to care about the person he called a friend. He's asked about the guy's death, and he starts talking about a ballroom. Who does that? I'll tell you who. A straight up narcissist does that. A dictionary narcissist, someone who is at the level of narcissism where they can't really have empathy for human beings, where they don't really know how to have a friend. I think it's fair to say that Donald Trump is at that level. And I think it's also fair to say that joking about it is not only fair game, the guy's the president, but it also comes from a place of a lot of circumstantial evidence, i.e. this. Donald Trump misses Charlie Kirk's Kennedy Center vigil for pre-planned weekend at Bedminster Golf Club. So the guy didn't even go to the vigil for Charlie Kirk because it interrupted his golf weekend. He couldn't bother to go back to D.C. on Sunday, no less, because it interrupted his golf weekend. Is that how you would treat a good friend? You wouldn't want it to interrupt your golf weekend? Oh, I got golf to play. Sorry, good friend. Someone who you considered a good friend, who you considered an ally, who you considered a thought leader, you wouldn't even bother going to their vigil? I think it is very within reason to make a joke that maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump doesn't seem to care all that much about his friend. And that's the joke that Jimmy Kimmel made. And that's the joke that Jimmy Kimmel got fired for. Or suspended indefinitely. I guess we technically can't use the vernacular firing yet as of the recording of this. But that's the joke he got suspended for indefinitely. And why did he get? Was it really some insensitive remark about someone who was shot? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was because Disney, they're scared of the FCC. The FCC, the institution that is so toothless and powerless when it comes to media policy that would help people, i.e. net neutrality, but has all this power when it comes to finding and suing some of the biggest, most powerful entertainment institutions out there. Isn't that interesting? And they cave to that pressure. They don't want to face a fine or they don't want to face any type of consequence. So they just got rid of the guy. This is what fascism looks like, y'all. And you know what's crazy? In the dystopian movies, usually when they go after the broadcaster, it's because the broadcaster crossed some kind of line and they had this call to action and they really went for the jugular. This joke, again, I mean, this is just such a soft joke that's making fun of Donald Trump's narcissism, which anybody with half a brain cell to rub together can see. And this joke gets the guy canned. This should bother you, whether you're a fan of Jimmy Kimmel or not. I personally, I don't think I've ever watched the guy's show personally, so I couldn't tell you one thing. But whether you're a fan of his or not, whether you're a fan of Trump or not, even for all you MAGA people who claim that Donald Trump is some free speech ally, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about, you're not allowed to point out that the emperor has no clothes? All of a sudden, implying that Donald Trump might be a bit of an insensitive narcissist is out of bounds. That's a line that can't be crossed. And every headline you see that says it was over Charlie Kirk's comments, no, that is incorrect. Or comments about Charlie Kirk, rather, that is incorrect. It's about a joke about Donald Trump. That's why he got fired. Shout out to USA Today for at least getting it half right. At least they included the stuff about the FCC threats, because some people aren't even including that, because that's what it's really about. It's about Disney caving to FCC pressure. They'd rather not face any FCC consequences, so they're just going to can the guy. Sound like free speech to you? Wow, what a time. And before we sign out here, y'all, satire is still legal. Please do check out my movie if you are interested in Abel Left at Wall. It is out now. Again, it's called Left at Wall. It satirizes the Wall Street machine, which as of the recording of this is still legal, but who knows what the future holds. So watch it now. You can find it on Apple TV. You can find it on YouTube Movies. You can find it on Amazon, Google Play. It's on a bunch of platforms, and it's free to watch on Tubi. I get it. Another rental is a lot when we're all paying for 1 billion streaming services. So you can watch it for free right on Tubi. Just type in Left at Wall on your smart TV, or you can go to my website, ronplacone.com, and it has all the links to watch Left at Wall. So please do check it out. And this is Ron Placone for Status Coup, signing out.